Robot here, Vespa Motorsport, scooterwest.com. Today I'm going to show you something a little different. How to put wider mirrors. And I'll tell you a reason why you may want to put wider mirrors. Most people want to put skinnier mirrors that have less visibility. Maybe you want more visibility. So let me show you how to install these, and in many situations they may work better for you. So this all started because I had a customer with much broader shoulders than my skinny little body, and he said the stock mirrors, he can't quite see out the back. And these are a nice ideal size. They don't stick too far beyond the grip, so if you're splitting lanes, obviously these work good. If you don't have broad shoulders, not a problem. So I kind of brainstormed, like, what would be a good solution if you want wider mirrors for more visibility? Well, the vintage Vespas, the mirrors mount right off the centers of the headlight, so they have very long stems on them. The only problem is the actual threads are different for these modern Vespas versus the vintage Vespas. So first of all, we got to start with a set of vintage Vespa mirrors. Pretty affordable, MR01. MR-01 is the Scooter West part number. It's a common pair of vintage mirrors. There's some other variations that we have that are sold individually. This just happens to be an economical set that's sold as a pair. And nearly all the vintage Vespa mirrors have one thing in common. This is 10mm threads, 10mm by 1.5. So I'm gonna go ahead and put these mirrors on, but they don't thread in to a vintage Vespa. The cool thing about these is the ball joint is offset, so you can actually have them inset, or you could really turn them out that way and then really go for a wide look, almost a mod look, I would say. So in order to do this job successfully, this pretty much applies to nearly any of the modern Vespas. You're gonna need to remove the original mirrors, and typically it's a 17mm wrench, and you have this lock nut right here. Something like this Primavera Sprint, the nut's exposed. You have some of those older GTSs, you gotta remove a cover. And go ahead and remove the mirror. You can see this is just standard threads right here. And on the right side, they always use just standard threads. So you can go ahead and pull this off. Sometimes you have washers underneath. So get this removed. There's the pair of washers. I'm gonna leave those alone. And next you're gonna need a special mirror adapter. So this mirror adapter for the right-hand side is gonna be a MR-AD-01, which is just a standard mirror adapter. It goes from 8mm threads to 10mm threads. If you have an older scooter, I would say an LX that's older than 2010, you're just gonna need two of these same adapters because they don't use reverse threads on the left side mirror. So go ahead and install the adapter, pretty straightforward. Use a 14mm wrench. Go ahead and tighten that adapter down. You want it pretty tight in there, but be cautious. If you over tighten that, it could break. There's this rubber boot that kind of covers the hole. You can remove the spacer right here. And then we're gonna go ahead and take our brand new mirror. It's intended for a vintage Vespa. Got the right-hand mirror right here. Probably can even just get the rubber right over that, but go ahead and remove the lock nut that's included with this mirror. Slide that up. And go ahead and thread this in place. One thing, you can see this little rubber boot, you may need to put some tape or adhesive just to kind of hold it in place, a little loose on the stem. And the ideal position usually for a mirror, so it's too far, we'll go back one, is to get the mirror head approximately over the grip, or just go ahead and adjust it while you're sitting on the scooter. Some of these vintage mirrors have a little bit more, they need a little bit more work to adjust. And that seems like a good position. I see out the back, no problem. And then go ahead and tighten this down. That's the lock nut, and normally we'd glue that in place. Kind of goes for a different look, definitely a bigger mirror, but you get the ultimate visibility because the mirror's way out there. And for the left-hand side, you can see, normally it's righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Well, it's the opposite. You got left-hand threads on this left-hand side here, so go ahead, pull this mirror off, and a mirror adapter that you'll need for this side specifically is going to be the MR80-06. So you can see it has a little slot in it. That's kind of an indication of left-hand threads. Go ahead and put that in there, and like you're removing a screw, go ahead and turn it counterclockwise. Pretty much same steps. So just because the adapter's left-hand threads, these vintage mirrors are not. So let's go ahead and thread this in clockwise. Kind of the same steps. Get it where you have a good angle. Probably want it kind of adjusted similar. And there you have it. Extra wide mirrors, there's no way I'm getting my shoulder in these mirrors. They're pretty far out there. You get pretty good visibility, kind of a different look. So there's some ideas for you. If you look at some of the other vintage mirrors, these are definitely the longest with the smallest round heads. I have other variations that are a little bit shorter, so something in between the stock length and the mirrors we just installed that have a larger head about this size. So just look for vintage mirrors on the Scooter West web store for vintage Vespas, and you'll just need those pair of adapters, and there you have it. Robot here from Vespa Motorsport and ScooterWest.com. I'll see you on the next one.